It's a place where progressives come to party. Fred Freundlich is with us. Fred, your last name in German would be Freundlich.
Right.
How do you say it?
Yeah, pretty close to that.
Oh, great.
Exactly that. Some of my cousins have problems with it.
Yeah, I lived in Germany for a year, so when I saw it, I said, it's Freundlich. And Sean said, no, I think it's Freundlich. But in any case, welcome. How do you pronounce Mondragon?
Pronounce it Mondragon with the accent on the last syllable.
Mondragon, okay.
Right.
And Mondragon.edu is one of the websites, Mondragon, M-O-N-D-R-A. It's like Mondragon is what it looks like in English. And Mondragon.corporation.com, Mondragon, ownershipassociates.com, some of the websites. And tell us about this alternative to capitalism, Fred.
Well,
that's existing in Spain.
Mondragon is a network, an integrated network of cooperatively owned companies. That is, companies owned by the workers who work in the companies. About 120 cooperative firms in very diverse sectors, from advanced manufacturing to retail, banking, and new knowledge businesses. Employs over 90,000 people as of the end of 2008.
Wow, this isn't your neighborhood health food co-op.
Right. No, this is big business in many different sectors.
Right. They're manufacturing appliances. They're manufacturing furniture. What are some of the other areas that they're in?
They manufacture very high-tech machine tools that they even ended up exporting to Germany, a real trick in Europe to export machine tools to Germany. They manufacture domestic appliance components, auto parts for 8 or 10 of the big automakers around the world. Wow. They have a bank and a large insurance company as well.
And all of this is owned by the people who work for it, period, end of discussion, right? And how do those people who work for Mondragon, how do they govern? How does governance happen?
Well, each worker, after a probationary period, becomes a worker member, has to be given the okay by his or her peers and the elected board of directors of the company. Once the person becomes a member, he or she pays a membership fee and then has one vote in the General Assembly of Worker Members, which is effectively equivalent to a shareholders meeting. All of the workers in the company are members, and they each have one vote in the annual General Assembly, and they decide major policy issues, different rules and basic rules and regulations, and they elect members to their board of directors, sometimes called governing council.
Right. Now, Rome, one of the arguments about how and why Rome fell is that when Rome extended out beyond central Italy or southern Italy, that and particularly into northern Europe, the rest of Europe, that Romans couldn't vote unless they went back to Rome. That governance started disintegrating. It's one of many theories out there. And Mondragon, I know, has expanded beyond just the Basque region of Spain. How do the satellite divisions of Mondragon govern themselves, and how is that governance related to the core entity?
Right. This is one of the thorniest and most complicated issues to figure out. For the Mondragon companies these days. There are basically two stories. One story is in the retail business, which is a chain of supermarkets and other retail stores. They needed to expand massively and quickly in the 90s, 2000s, and they did that. And they have now decided that it's becoming too inconsistent to have thousands and thousands of workers in subsidiary companies that are not worker members, so they have decided to initiate a cooperativization process. Mm-hmm. It's complicated to explain legally and financially, but essentially they're going to turn their 8,000 or 9,000 members, worker members, another 5,000 who own stock in their subsidiaries, and the other 35,000 or so workers are over the next 3 to 5 years going to become worker members in a series of cooperatives. The conventional companies are going to be turned into cooperative enterprises. Now, this model is going to be carefully studied by the co-ops in the industrial division because they have subsidiaries overseas,
right.
Over 70 of them in a couple of dozen different countries. They're going to look hard at this model and try to figure out how to adapt it to the different legal circumstances in each country, to the different financial situation of each of the subsidiaries, and to the cultural circumstances in the various countries, which are very different from those in the Basque country and very different from one another.
Right. So let's say I work at one of the Mondragon businesses.
Mm-hmm.
My boss is decided by who? Or by whom?
It depends a lot on the business. In many instances, it's hard to talk about Mondragon as one thing.
Right.
It's 120 different companies and affiliated organizations, which probably now over 120 or 30 of those. Mm-hmm. In some organizations, your boss would be chosen by you and your coworkers. Mm-hmm. Many of the cooperative organizations think that a worker cooperative, an enterprise owned by its workers is more than a legal structure. It's more than just electing a board of directors, and it's more than just sharing the profits among the workers. It's a way of working together, doing business, managing an organization. So in those cooperatives, you and your coworkers in your work area or your work team, depending on how work is designed, you would elect a coordinator, or I hesitate to call it a supervisor because it's not a traditional supervisory role. Right. In other co-ops, workers, managers, a mix of the two have more traditional attitudes about management, more traditional understandings of management, and your supervisor would be selected by his or her boss, and that person is named by the CEO of the company. Now,
so you're describing both a bottom-up and a top-down system.
Right. There are different systems in different co-ops. I mean, the co-ops are required to have a democratic legal structure, right, where the ultimate governance is in the hands of the worker members, and they elect the board and hold management accountable. But in day-to-day, week-to-week management, the co-ops vary a lot. Some of them are very participatory, very participatory with very flat organizations, very little hierarchy, and others are more traditional. So certainly the overall thrust, the overall policy and interest of the co-ops is to make them as participatory and communicative as possible.
Fascinating. And do the folks well, first of all, how did this start? This started in the Basque region of Spain with a priest.
Right.
Tell us the story quickly.
Right after the Civil War in Spain, priest, a very special man.
Which was the 1930s, wasn't it?
The war was 36 to 39. He was sent to Mondragon in 41. Mm-hmm. Country was destroyed, political repression under Franco. He was a very special man who was at once a visionary and a pragmatist. Mm-hmm. He was informed by Catholic social doctrine, which is critical of conventional capitalist business, and he began a school in 1943. And he also did a lot of community organizing and community education projects with youth and adults. And about 15 years later, 5 of his followers had gone to work in the local large company, and they tried to reform it with his help and were unsuccessful. The management owners were not interested, so they started their own enterprise, turned it into a cooperative in 1956, and then the idea spread to their friends and colleagues and to friends and colleagues of theirs. By the early 60s, there were 8 or 10 co-ops and several hundred workers, and then dozens more co-ops and thousands of workers through the 60s and 70s.
Right, and this is a brilliant example of the question. I think one of the big questions of our day right now that is being asked is: are we here to serve the economy, or is the economy here to serve us? And in the case of the Mondragon cooperatives, the answer by the people who put the thing together itself was the economy is here to serve us. The business is here to serve us, so we're going to create the business in a way that will serve us, the workers, us, the citizens, us, the people who live here, as well as we can serve it. Is this promoted? And Fred, we have about a half a minute left. We're talking with Fred Freundlich, Mondragon.edu. Is this promoted as an alternative to capitalism, or is that debate kind of set to the side?
It's certainly not openly promoted that way. Many of the worker members think of it that way. Uh-huh. The businesses have to interact constantly with all kinds of organizations in Spain and the Basque Country and around the world, and they think it's a better way to do business. It's a better way to run an organization. It's a better way to work and manage together. But they generally don't go around the world and proselytize or stand on soapboxes and bang the table. Yeah, very interesting. Fred Freundlich, Mondragon.edu, MondragonCorporation.com, OwnershipAssociates.com. The website's Fred. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for the great work you're doing. Pleasure. Professor
Freundlich, great talking with you. Isn't the bigger picture, is the economy here to serve us, or are we here to serve the economy? Ultimately, that's what we have to tackle. Your thoughts, 866-987-THOM.